Hey everyone, welcome to PCOS Conversations with Julie and Laura. We're happy to be meeting with you talking about all things PCOS and non-diet. And my name is Julie Duffy Dillon. I'm a dietitian that helps people with PCOS undiet their PCOS. I don't know, I like that new word. This is my friend Laura. How's it going, Laura?
Hi, I'm Laura Burns, and I'm a body liberation yoga teacher, and I teach yoga classes and privates. I have courses and workshops and all the things, all the different ways, run retreats. But everything is about body liberation and about learning to honor and celebrate the body that you have in this moment,
Mhm.
no exceptions.
Awesome. I love the things you're doing. And we are going to start today how we always start with a card pull. So we made this card deck, a PCOS Body Liberation card deck. And if you are interested in having your own, or you can go to PCOSBodyLiberation.com. There's a link underneath here, and it has prompts, and we're going to go through one today. So today's is how can you live with your PCOS on your own terms?
By saying "fuck you" to diets. I have this like postcard thing that Julie sent like 5 years ago. I
Oh,
don't know,
I love that one.
a
Yes.
long time ago on my fridge, and it says something about saying "fuck you" to diets, and it's got a
Yeah.
little finger up. It's great. It's on my fridge still. I
I
love it.
don't send many holiday cards, but that is like once every 10 years, and that was a good one. So yeah,
Yeah,
like being radical and saying I don't want to like keep torturing my body anymore. That could
yeah.
be one way.
I think that living with PCOS on my own terms means body autonomy.
Yeah.
Like so that and that kind of encompasses everything. It's like I don't want to diet. I don't want to think negatively about all my symptoms
Yes.
because it doesn't help me. Like I'm really good already at being negative about things. I don't need any help.
Yeah.
What I need help with is like feeling more positive and about uh, accepting, you
Hmm.
know. And so for me, a lot of the PCOS community is like body shaming, but like symptom shaming.
Yeah.
And so for me, living on my own terms with PCOS is not symptom shaming because it doesn't help. It feels good to vent sometimes and be like, oh, I don't like this or whatever. But like, I don't want to live in that because it
Hmm.
feels bad. And I spent my whole life living in that in various ways, right? Usually about being fat. Um, and so that's really big. And so, I mean, like, really, body autonomy. Here's what it is: body autonomy, self care. That's living with PCOS on my own terms because those two things
Uh,
encompass all the things,
so
really.
it's like a Venn diagram. Can we all
Yeah,
plot them? Yeah.
yeah.
So self-care, body autonomy.
Mhm.
Um, as a healthcare provider, something that I can be totally transparent with is that body autonomy concept was not something that I was encouraged to really, I don't know, like just have it as a piece in the room, like it's not as one of the things to make sure that it's honored. And now it's like the foundation. But I remember just being taught scripts like for PCOS you do this, for diabetes you do this. This is what a person needs to do instead of like, oh well, hey, tell me what you need. Like what do you want to do? And
Yeah.
that's regretful because that's a big part of how I think people are harmed in PCOS world is not even like, hey, what do you need today? It'd be so
Yeah.
wonderful if it was just started that way instead.
And I think that so much of PCOS care, whether it's like the gynecologist or the endocrinologist or the dietitian or whatever, they're not taking into account that it's a real human being with a lifetime of experiences and a lifetime of narratives and
Mhm.
trauma
Mhm.
and emotions and pain and all the things. And so, you have this, oh, for PCOS, it's this. It's like, oh, one size fits all uh, outfit. I don't know what I'm saying, whatever, but like we know one size doesn't fit all, right?
Yeah.
Because people
Yep.
are shaped differently and have different needs and stuff. And so, um, it is not a surprise to me to hear that that is how the training is. because
Well,
I've
yeah.
experienced that from the other end, and so many of us have, and it feels like, are you even listening to me? Or like,
No,
for
no, no,
example, you
not
know,
listening.
yeah, for example, getting diagnosed with PCOS and being told you need to lose weight, you need to exercise this many times a week, whatever, but never asking, like, or like, you need to lose weight, so you need to eat less of this and eat more of it, whatever, but never asking, like, what do you eat?
Yes, yes,
What is your experience with trying to have intentional weight loss? What
yes,
is your relationship with food? Like,
yes,
do
yes, yes.
you exercise? Do you move your body? How many times a week? If so, what kind? Why don't you if you don't? And like, how does it feel when you do that? There's so many things that people don't um, take into account, really, which is just that you're a human being and not a robot. And Julie, you always say, if we were robots,
Yeah,
blah, 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 like this would be okay, but we're not. We're human beings. And like, yeah, we're whole ass human beings.
right.
And you
Yeah,
can't,
that whole, go ahead, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
you just can't, have like one prescription for everyone.
Right. Well, that whole robot thing too, that's in case any of my old professors are listening to something that I'm saying. I can be like, I remember the biochem you taught me, don't worry. But like, I'm actually working with human beings, and not some petri dish. Something else I want to mention too that I think is a big part of why it's so hard for people to be able to honor body autonomy working in healthcare is because of how capitalism has become a part of healthcare. And I can remember one of my jobs over the years was working in an outpatient nutrition clinic associated with a hospital. And I had 10 to 16 clients back to back in like a 30-minute lunch where I was supposed to do all my notes. And then I had to teach a 3-hour class after that. And so, I wasn't given the ability to really be able to ask even somebody like, how's your eating? Because I had this checklist of stuff that I had to make sure I talked about and taught in order for that person to be able to file insurance and get the full reimbursement. And it was not okay. I only worked 6 months in that place. It almost like totally burned me out. But that's like a really normal kind of schedule for a lot of people who are accessing healthcare in the US. And if we're seeking a dietitian, it's usually these hospital clinics that have the ability to take most insurance companies and Medicaid and Medicare. So those are clinicians who are seeing tons of people back to back.
Yeah. And that's not fair, like, for the clinician, and it's not fair for the patient. It's
No,
like,
it was easy
for
to
anyone
tell.
except for the company that's making money.
Yeah, it was really easy to see that I was not helping. And I was like totally, totally stressing myself out, and it wasn't, good for me either. So, alas, the more that, the thing I was going to say actually before I moved to that point was you were talking about things that people don't ask to people with PCOS, and it makes me remember about assumptions. Like I think people, healthcare providers and just humans in general, assume a lot of things about people with PCOS, and that gets in the way too of that body autonomy. Like there's all these assumptions instead of asking like, oh, how's your eating? And it's just an assumption that a person's eating more than they need to, and
Yeah,
judging
literally,
at the same time.
yeah, literally telling me, stop eating so many hamburgers.
I know you. I know you're not eating any hamburgers.
I don't eat any hamburgers.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, and when that person said that to me, I was actually a vegan, so even less likely to eat a hamburger than I am now.
That's
Anyway,
awful.
it's like ridiculous. They see a fat body and they assume they know it.
Yeah.
Oh, we know. Let's move on.
Let's move on. Well, normally we go on to the questions, but June has been a slow month, so I don't think we had any questions. Do you know?
Oh yeah, I don't think so either.
Yes. So we love questions, and put them below, and we can include it in an upcoming episode. Do you have any thoughts about living with PCOS on your own terms, or what that could be like, what the struggles are with that, or any questions really?
Yeah.
Below. And
Whatever you want, ask away. Which means that it's time for the box.
It is.
This is my favorite part.
Yeah, because you get to play music.
Yeah, because I get to shake my box and do like a fun drawing. Okay, so if you're new, this is my favorite box in the world, and we have inside of it different topics. And so I just pick a topic and then we talk about it.
Because that's what this is about, right? PCOS conversations.
Conversations. Okay. I think this is one of the newer. I think the old ones were orange and the newer ones. Oh. Well, perfect. PCOS symptoms, dark patches.
Oh.
Yes. Can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where should we begin? Well, should we define it?
Yeah, let's define that for anyone who doesn't know about dark patches.
Yeah, and somebody is going to be like looking in these areas and discover they have them after listening to this. You know that, right? Like that's totally going to happen. Or be like, oh, that's what that is. Well, you know, the thing that I know about these dark patches is they are in the medical community called acanthosis nigricans, and it is something that happens when someone has high circulating insulin. It seems to be like a magnet with melanin, and that leads to deposits in certain areas on the skin. The most commonly seen areas behind the neck and kind of moving down like through here. Also under the chin, under the armpits, anywhere that there's really folds. Also eyes, behind the knees, and
I haven't seen the eyes before. Interesting.
yeah, anywhere there's any kind of like fold. And when I first started learning about it, when I worked in an endocrinology clinic, and caregivers would be so concerned about it because like they were trying to like remove it with like soap or lemon juice or something, and it wasn't going away. And really, it was a sign of high circulating insulin levels. And so this is, of course, really common with PCOS because most people with PCOS, it's like 75 to 95% of people with PCOS have high circulating insulin. So dark patches.
Yeah. There's so many things that I want to say. And I've talked about, I have dark patches. This is like a thing that I have, one of the symptoms that I can like talk like with a lot of authority about because I have experienced it. And I've had it for a long time, way before I got diagnosed with PCOS.
Oh, interesting.
As a child, I had it.
Yeah.
And around the time, what age did you say? Like 11 or 12 when people can start first experience? Yeah, so around that time.
Before puberty. Right before puberty.
And so actually, I'm going to pull my shirt down. I'm not going to show my boobs or anything, but I just want to show this spot here. And you can see I have some now.
Yeah.
Little dark splotches that I get between my breasts. And they will be there and then they'll disappear for years.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
I never knew what it was. And then they would come back and then they would go away. And I think I've talked about them before in our chats, but I think what I want to talk about right now is the idea that people are like always trying to scrub them away or lemon juice them away, bleach cream them away. And it reminds me, and even when you know that it's not dirt, still having that impulse, like I feel very emotional about this because I've been this person over exfoliating in hopes that it will lighten, even though you know it's not dirt and you know that it's not on the surface of the skin, or it's not, it's like in the layers of the skin, like it's, it's not going to come off,
right?
But it reminds me of how I felt so much when I was growing up about like my thighs or my belly, and just maybe looking at it or holding it or touching it and thinking if I could just cut it off, or if I could just like make it disappear, like wishing parts of my body away, which feels really violent. And when I've talked about that feeling before, people have been like, oh my God, yeah, like how much of our lives have some of us spent wishing that we could like mutilate ourselves basically to not have like this belly anymore, or these thighs, or this, the arms or whatever it is. Anyway, and it's really disturbing. And I know that it has led to self-harm, which I won't say any more about because I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable. But all these things are related, you know? And so one of the things before we had our community and I had this like safe bubble, one of the things that I would find when looking in PCOS communities, like try to have support or like big friends or get resources, is people talking about symptoms. And when I talk about symptom shaming, this is a big one, is where they would be like, oh, here's like our thread of all the ways that we've tried to get rid of our dark patches. And it's like violence. And to some people that might sound like hyperbole, and like to me it fucking feels real. And like that's why I can't be in those groups. Like that's one reason. Because like when you subject yourself to that over and over, it starts to feel normal. You know, and then it feels normal to try to like scrub it off so much that you rub the skin raw.
Right. Well, dehumanizes you. Yeah.
Antibiotics. Like that's like stuff that I would read anyway.
Yes, yes.
Well, and so there's so much like emotionally behind all of these things. Like regardless of how you feel, do I love my dark patches? No. Do I wish that I didn't have them? Yes. When they go away, am I happy? Yes. When they come back, do I have like some sadness? Yes. But it's so much worse when you reinforce the idea that it's like disgusting.
Yeah, that seems different.
Unworthy and all that stuff. And I just like, I know how it feels to like be in that loop. And so I don't know if anyone is watching this and this resonates with you, like I just encourage you to not spend your time in those places where those feelings and that, and I call it violence. I'm sure some people will be like, oh my God, you know, toughen up. It's not violence. Like that's fine. You don't have to think it is. For me, it feels like it. But just like a reminder to people, you don't have to stay in those spaces.
Right. Well, is that something that helped you to like move away from that? It was like removing yourself from the spaces. Is that what helped you to think of what your body is experiencing in less of like a violent way?
Yeah. And so like through your work and like in the community, we talk about this a lot, but like listening to your body, like what is your body trying to tell you? Now I know when this dark patch comes back, it's telling me that my insulin is high. Right. It's telling me like, oh, something's going on.
Yeah.
You know, have you been inconsistent with your medication? Have you been eating differently? Are you under a lot of stress? Like what's going on? And then how can I care for my body and try to help it instead of like, I'm going to scrub this so much that it becomes a wound.
Yeah. Yeah. When it's really supposed to be like this tap on the shoulder, like, hey, there's something. But then it's like it's a punishment for the message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, so that's kind of
important. I think it's important to like consider it in this way. I know you mentioned like some people may not really vibe with the word violence, but the way I think about it is like a domino effect that the expectation to have to go through this pain to remove something that I mean, like that's not something that's affecting another person. You know what I mean? It's like it's
just beauty standards.
Yeah, exactly. And so having that as the norm, how that leads to the dehumanization of people with PCOS. You know, just the expectation that you're going to have to suffer in order to be accepted.
Well, it's because you don't, because that's what you deserve.
Because that's what you deserve. Ooh, yes.
That's what the, you know, overarching thing is like, this is what you deserve because you did this to yourself. Because you ate yourself, which is not true. In case you don't know, people
even if it was though too.
Yeah, also,
like no, yeah. But yeah,
yeah. Well, that's like with fat bodies in general. Like,
yeah.
Oh, you're injured or you have this illness. That's what you get for doing this to yourself.
Right.
Which is like horrific and horrendous and so unkind. It's like the ultimate unkind thing to think. But it's like the prevalent way that people think about fat bodies. and like the world is not a safe space, because that's everywhere. That's why I appreciate our community, because it is a safe space. You would
Mhm.
never find that there. um and so I appreciate, so like some people, okay, here's a good, people ask like, well, what's the difference between your community and like this community that like is on Facebook and it's free, and it's like, it's not explicitly non-diet or whatever. Like this is such a good example. Like,
Mhm.
oh, so maybe similar threads about like, oh, I have these dark pouches, I don't love it, like what do I do? You know, in one world it's going to be like, oh, lemon juice, scrub it, blah, bleaching cream, whatever, like diet, and it'll go away, which is not necessarily true. And then like in our community it would be like, oh, how is that making you feel, what self-care can you practice, like what can you learn from that, you know, like
Mhm.
to change, are you taking your meds, are you know checking in with all the, it's like such a gentler,
Yeah.
kinder, more compassionate way to interact with your body.
Yes. Yeah, I was just reading through some of the threads today, and it wasn't about dark patches, but something, another symptom of PCOS. And the thing that's really cool is to see people who are newer to anti-diet ways of living with PCOS, and other people who have been doing this for 5, 10 or more years, kind of gently just kind of like coming together and sharing, oh, this is how I have been experiencing this. This is what I kept in. This is what I didn't. And so wonderful to be able to see that happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
So powerful.
um and so non like emotional side of things with dark patches, um I mean I don't know, I talk about these a lot, but I guess just to mention something that's not like emotional related,
Hmm.
for me, with the dark patches I really noticed that um even it's not going to make it go away, but like moisturizing your body
Yeah.
can really help them not feel as rough.
Yeah.
And that means drinking a lot of water,
Hmm.
like moisturizing from the inside,
Yeah. Yeah.
but also like moisturizing from the outside. So if it's like on the body, using your body lotion,
Hmm.
or using a thicker one. So like there's even like something that's made for like the feet, which is usually a much thicker,
Yeah.
um, more like the viscosity is more dense. I don't know what the word is, like almost like an ointment
Yep.
instead of lotion. Um, it'll just
So
be more moisturizing. So like I have certain things that I use on mine, and it just makes them a little softer. So it's like, okay, if you're gonna be here, I have a new one somewhere on my neck, just like this little dot. Oh, I think it's right
nice.
here. But so like, hi, welcome. If you're gonna be here, like let's try to make you soft, because
Yeah.
sometimes they can get a little rough and like that makes
Yes.
it feel
Yes.
worse to
Yeah.
have them. So
It can
just
be
like,
velvety, kind of like crushed velvet is often what people would say, like
that
how it
sounds good.
feels. Yeah.
Sometimes mine gets like lizardy,
Okay.
like
Yeah.
dry.
Because it's
But I
like
also have very
thickness.
dry skin anyway, so maybe that's part of
Mhm.
that. But anyway, I find that moisturizing and keeping myself really hydrated helps them. It's not going to make them go away, but it's going to help them feel a little softer,
That
and
sounds
that makes
so
it feel
like
a little better.
nice. That this sounds so like the opposite, or like on the other side of the continuum of like bleach
Scrubbing it.
creams and scrubbing till it's raw. Like, let me take care of you. I mean, it's making me misty because it's like the it's just totally different, and it sounds like so loving and like tending to it.
And
So
you can, as much as you want to, you can like, so I'm like kind of woo woo, or you know, like I'm a yoga teacher, y'all. So for me, you know, I would like put this, you know, this stuff on it, and like think nice things,
yeah, yeah.
say something kind to my dark patch or to my face, or what, you know, whatever, and
Hmm.
like think of sending that energy in. And like
Hmm.
I am gonna cry now probably, because like the difference in
Yeah.
how it was in the past, like, you know, here for as a child, scrubbing
Mm.
scrubbing and being like in junior high, and being on dance team and other girls seeing it and being like, you're dirty, because I was already fat. And
Mm.
now I'm like, you know, fat people are dirty, if you
Right. Yeah.
and so now having this, and then I remember like, and that's why I think of it as violence, because it was
Yeah.
violent.
Yeah. Yeah.
um and then I got this tattoo and had it extended down
Love
to
it.
like, so now, because I used to never wear anything that was like low cut or like a swimsuit that showed or anything because I was embarrassed. And I was like, I'm going to get this fucking tattoo and I'm going to put it right there and I'm going to show it off.
So it's like highlighting them.
Yeah.
Wait, I love that.
Yeah. In a way, it kind of camouflages it. But to me, because now I wear things sometimes that show it more, it feels like highlighting it. And that's really
cool.
what matters.
That's cool.
But anyway, I
Middle
feel like
school Laura, that's just so cool for like middle school Laura to have that kind of like care and love on
it's
her skin.
so opposite.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
All
I
those
don't
dark
know.
patches, right? I mean, dark patches, who knew that they could be making us misty-eyed, but they did it.
If anyone is watching this and this resonates at all, or if it's bringing up thoughts, then number one, I'm like hugging you because I know it can be a lot. But also, if you feel so moved, share with us in the comments. Like, what are you thinking? What is this bringing up for you? Do you have dark patches? How do you feel about them? Like, how do you care for them, or do you care for them? Whatever you want to say about dark patches, I would really love to hear. I love when y'all comment.
I know.
But yeah.
Yeah, we hope it provides like another option than what you're reading in the internets about what to do, you know?
The internet is full of diet culture and like body violence.
Yeah, yeah. And there is something else. So, well, I think it's time to wrap up. What do you think?
Yep.
All right.
Shall we toast?
We shall. Maybe we should tell you to also to subscribe as we're
toasting.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now we're just like sailors doing
I know. I was just thinking.
So, subscribe to this channel if you want to get, notifications about or have us show up in your feed. Please like this video if you liked it. It helps us, makes us feel good. And come find us on Instagram at PCOS Body Liberation. Our website is PCOSBodyLiberation.com. We have the community that you can be a part of. We have a retreat coming up. We've only got 3 spots left. So if you want to join that, then get on it because there's not very many left.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, let's.
Cheers. Thanks, Laura.